How are we, boys and girls? Welcome to the Going Down Under podcast. I'm your host, Braam Hein, creating koala on all social media platforms, and here we will be deep diving on all things health, fitness, and wellness related. How are you? First of all, great to see that you're doing well, because you are. But whoever you are, whatever you're doing fantastic. Episode 14, which means there's been 14 weeks worth of episodes. Because, that's how it works when it's a weekly podcast, you know what I'm saying? But today's episode is going to be about why you aren't losing weight. If you're trying to lose weight. That's like, if you're not trying to lose weight, it's not really about you. But I know a lot of people struggle with that because of different factors, and it's really comes down to 4 key things, and I've kind of narrowed that down, and I'll be talking about that today. But first of all, I want to talk about Duke basketball, because Cooper Flag, Con Knipple, the big pseudo guy, can't remember his name, Malawak? Yeah. Man, aren't they just fun to watch? And I don't even know if they're playing outstanding. I think they are. Well, they're obviously playing outstanding basketball because they're in the Final Four, and a lot of people project them to win the whole thing with a few freshmen leading them. But God, they're just so good. And Cooper Flag is just a dog, dude. Just a dog. Con's a bucket too. I know people rate him pretty highly, but I don't think people rate him highly enough. I think he's outstanding. Anyway, that's enough of that. But most in the final weeks of my schooling this semester, and then got some stuff going on over the summer, and then next semester, and then I'll be done. So that'd be cool. And I'll be officially done with all of my schooling. I hope, because I've done a lot of school. I don't know why. I don't really like school. I don't hate school. I like what I'm doing, but I just don't like doing homework. Especially for some of my classes. God, bioinformatics can eat a poop. Go in a hole. I hate it. But anyway, regardless, on to the topic of today's episode, which is why you aren't losing weight, right? Weight loss happens in one way and one way alone, and that is through a calorie deficit. No matter how you create it, table shaky, hello. No matter how you create the calorie deficit, no matter how it happens, whether you do a diet, whether you train an enormous amount, or you just don't actually eat anything really, or you just move a shite ton throughout the day, that is the only way you can lose weight. People who are saying they have really slow metabolisms, I would recommend you go listen to Dr. Andy Galpin's podcast, called the Perform podcast. It has an episode on metabolism and how it can differ from person to person pretty heavily. But ultimately what it is that your basal metabolic rate, so what you burn on a daily basis, I can't hit the table. What you burn on a daily basis cannot change. You'll be pretty hard done by to see someone who has an extremely high metabolism or an extremely low metabolism. But what you will see a lot of the time is that people who eat a lot of calories and don't really gain weight, or people who can burn fat really easily or something like that, it's because they have a really high NEAT. Usually, so that's usually what it is, or they just exercise a shit ton, and that's just how they kind of are, really. Because I'm also going to get into why calorie deficits are created, because of it's all about calories in, calories out, right? Calories in is what you eat, what you consume. Anything that you eat or consume counts in it on a daily basis. No matter what it is, it has calories in it. Except for water. I don't even think water has 0.0000 whatever 1 calories. But it's minimal. You could drink 10 liters of water and that's probably 2 or 3 calories, whatever. But the calories out portion of it is your TDEE, right? Which stands for total daily energy expenditure. And that's broken up into 4 sections. You've probably seen it before, maybe. If you haven't, just look it up. But it's basically just a bar, right? And this much of the bar is taken up by exercise. So exercise on a daily basis doesn't actually burn that many calories. It's like 5 to 20%, right, of your total daily energy expenditure. I think people overvalue exercise a lot in terms of their calories. Like, you can work out for 2-3 hours in a day and only burn 300-400 calories, which sounds like a lot, but I think some people even overvalue that. Like, even Apple Watches think it's like 1,000 calories. It's not. But obviously exercise is important, so still do it. But in terms of losing weight and stuff, this is where the nutrition portion comes in pretty heavily, right? Because your exercise isn't actually that much. The second portion of it, roughly the same, maybe a little bit less, is TEF, which is the thermic effect of food. So every time you eat food, your body has to digest it and get the nutrients out of it. So it has to break it down through a bunch of thermic processes, which that takes energy for your body to do that. So anytime you consume calories, you're technically burning calories by eating it. Each one has a percentage. I'm not going to go into it. I've gone into it previously, but protein has the highest thermic effect of food. That's why it takes the most energy for your body to break it down and to get it to what it needs to. That's why higher protein diets, you tend to burn a little bit more calories throughout the day, just because your body is taking so much energy to actually break it down. And that's also why you don't want to eat a heavy protein meal before you work out, because your body's going to be too focused on digestion rather than fueling your body for performance, right? Okay, that one's out of the way. The third one is like the second biggest one, which I think it's like 10 to 30% maybe of your total daily calories. Total daily energy expenditure, sorry. And that is NEAT, which stands for non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So this is everything that you do that isn't exercise that helps you burn calories. So thinking, writing, talking, walking is technically exercise, but like, if you're not thinking about it, if it's not planned, it's technically an exercise. So like me walking down here is technically, is non-exercise activity. Me driving, like a lot of cognitive things are that. And also when people if you see a lot of people like kind of like tapping their leg or like just kind of like moving around, all that stuff, whatever, that's non-exercise activity. So it's also pretty key in terms of what I was talking about before, of like, if people really easily burn fat or can't really gain weight, that one is usually the highest in those people. Not in terms of the entire thing, but that's people burn a lot of calories through that just because they don't think about it. But if they're sitting at a desk at school and they're like tapping their leg, if you think about it, if you're tapping leg for like 4 hours, that's a lot of movement. And it's been seen that people who do that, or like tap pens or anything like that, they can burn up to 1,000 extra calories in a day, just because you're constantly moving, so your body's constantly working. But it's not insane movement, so it doesn't take a lot to do it, but it's still, over a long period of time, a lot of energy being expended. So especially in kids, like high schoolers or middle schoolers who can't really put on weight, it's because they usually like that, or they're just extremely heavy thinkers. So obviously your brain burns calories, and if you do a lot of that stuff, it's just hard to eat enough because you're burning so many calories throughout the day, right? Anyway, moving on from that one, the largest one by far is your BMR, so your basal metabolic rate, which is just how much energy it takes your body for you to be able to live. So which is roughly the same for most people. Like it's pretty low when you're first born, obviously, because you're small. Then as you go through adolescence and all that kind of stuff, it goes very, very high. Not very high, it's like 2,300 calories, 2,400 calories for most people. And then it kind of goes down a little bit as you stop puberty, as you kind of flatten out, as you get into your own body, and it roughly stays around 2100, and then slightly declines to roughly like 1850, 1900, to when you're about like 70, 80 years old. But people obviously say that it's like, oh, I'm getting older, my metabolism's slowing. Not really. You're just moving a lot less because just life happens. Your joints start to deteriorate. Your muscles start to weaken a little bit. You're not moving as much, so your total daily energy is reduced, yes, but not your metabolism. Your metabolism isn't really changing. It's only over, if you think about it, over like a 70-year period, changing by like 200, 300 calories. It's not that much. So when you're trying to lose weight, your TDEE, sorry, put that in there, has to be lower than what you're intaking. Sorry, no, wrong. Your TDEE has to be higher than what you're intaking. You have to be consuming less and expending more. So a lot of people don't get to this stage because of the 4 things I'm about to talk about. And the first one is you are misunderstanding your body's caloric needs, right? Or you're misunderstanding how much you're expending, right? So for an example, right? If you are trying to lose weight and so is your friend, in a world where everything is the same, which doesn't obviously happen, if your friend is eating 2,000 calories and you're eating 2,000 calories and your weight stays the same, but you see him lose 10 pounds over a 10-week period, you're like, we're eating the same amount of stuff. His caloric needs are more than yours. So he might be moving around more, he might have a harder job that just requires more labor, or he might just be moving around a lot more throughout the day, or he's eating a higher protein diet, or he might just be a little younger than you, right? So his calories are a little bit more. So over that 10-week period, if you guys are both eating 2,000 calories, your baseline is at 2,000 because you're not moving as much compared to this guy. But he's moving more, so he's losing weight. Or you're misunderstanding how much food your body actually needs, right? So what's an example of this? Well, I'm blanking on an example of this. This has been a long day, dude. But so what's an example? How come I can't think of an example of this? I'm starting my words now too. Sorry. No. So back to what I was gonna say. Here, don't worry. If you think that your baseline is 2,400, but you don't actually know that, like you just go out of a calculator. Calculators are good as baselines in terms of if you've never done it before. If you don't know what it is, use a calculator, then use it for like a week or two, and then if you're gaining weight or losing weight, then eat those calories, right? But if you're also moving more during that week, and then you stop moving, you stop caring as much because you're not tracking it, and you're still trying to eat at that, then it's not going to happen, right? You have to understand how much you're expending, and you have to kind of change it, not on a daily basis, but on a pretty frequent basis. Sorry, I keep moving. Like if you went from being in high school and you're playing a lot of sports to college to where you aren't playing sports anymore, and you're eating the same amount of calories, expecting the same thing to happen, it's not going to happen because you're doing so much more in the previous life of high school. Like you're playing sports, you're going out with friends, whatever. And in college, you're a lot more sedentary. You're doing a lot more homework. You're sitting down more. You're expending less calories. So you have to be cognizant of how many calories you're actually expending throughout the day. So then you can kind of adjust your intake of calories, right? That might have been a bit all over the place. I'm sorry. The second reason is that you aren't accounting for the little things, or you're too heavily accounting for little things, right? I see this happen a lot where people can't lose weight and they're like, I eat salads all the time or whatever. And I would say, so you just eat plain salad? Like, yeah, put salad and there's dressing and then there's the croutons and all that kind of stuff. Like, dressing is good. I'm not gonna demonize dressing because it makes salad taste good, right? But if you're choosing the wrong dressings, if you're choosing higher fat dressings or higher calorie dressings, like a tablespoon of that is like 150 calories. If you think about it, you're not putting 1 tablespoon on, brother. You're putting like 4. That's an extra 600 calories just in that. If you're not accounting for that, and you're still hitting your 2,000 calories in your MyFitnessPal, you're actually eating close to 2,600. If you do that 2 or 3 times a day, you're overestimating it by about 1,000 calories. I think there was a study on Americans through MyFitnessPal where they underestimated their underestimated their calories by about 50%. So if you're eating a 2,000 calorie diet, you're actually eating a 3,000 calorie diet because you don't understand what you're doing, right? Or you're just like snacking a lot, and it's like, oh, it's just one snack. If you do that 5 times in a day, if you have a 100-calorie snack, just like maybe like a handful of nuts or like 1 or 2 chocolates, if you do that 5 times in a day, that's gonna stack up, mate. So it's like you have to be cognizant of those things, and also at the same time, you can't too heavily account for other things, such as if you go for a run one day, that I think some people fall into the trap of, oh, I went for a run, so it's fine if I like go out for ice cream. Also, again, you can go out for ice cream. Please don't like think that I'm demonizing that. But because you went for the run, that doesn't mean you get to eat another 300 calories because your Apple Watch says that you burnt 300. That's not what it is. Like, you realistically probably only burnt like 100 and 150 calories, whatever. And you could just add a little bit more to your dinner. You don't have to add a whole thing of ice cream or something like that. So you can't heavily account for increasing exercise in one day by a little amount. Or you also can't account for if you're like, oh, it's a really hard gym session, so I need to eat a lot more. You don't really need to eat a lot more, maybe a little more. Don't heavily account, don't put all those things too high on a pedestal to make it easier for your brain, I guess. Sometimes you're gonna have to just stick to the same diet, and even if you are expending a little bit more on that day, sorry, I don't know why I'm babbling. Just keep to the plan, stick to the plan, and you'll be fine. The third way, kind of a unique way, because it's a thing I think that a lot of people don't think about, but it does happen in a lot of cases, is that you're too stressed. Like, your body, if it's too stressed, if it's like if there's too many things going on and it's a really stressful time for you, your body will retain a lot of water and it will be very resistant to change, like muscular changes, fat changes. It will be very, very, very resistant to changes. Like, kind of going back to the example that I said before of like the 2 people who were identical, they're both eating 2,000 calories, but one lost a bunch of weight, one didn't. It could also be because even though they did the exact same regime, whatever, person A just might be extremely stressed, so the body wouldn't allow it to change because it's like there's too much going on, blah, 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 and it just kind of starts freaking out. There have been studies as well that have shown that people in high stress environments are more adverse to body weight changes, and are also very, very adept to increases in body weight changes, not decreases. So like heavier increases in fat mass, heavier increases in water retention, all that kind of stuff. So those things can happen because of lack of sleep, too much pressure on yourself, too much workload, family issues. You can't control some of those. You can control a lot of the other things, that are like controlling your diet, exercise, nutrition, mental health, sleep, recovery, all that kind of stuff, to reduce as much stress as possible. Your body will be more accepting of changes to its composition, right? That's something that people don't look at a lot. I feel it's very, very important, because I know there was a time where I was eating close to 2,100 calories while working out 2 or 3 times a day, and I wasn't really losing a lot of weight. And I think that was because I was in a very high stress environment playing collegiate basketball, and I wasn't feeding my body enough, so it became even more stressed. So if I probably fed myself a little bit more, I probably would have seen better body composition changes. But obviously, I know that now. At the time, I was a bit naive, but if there's one tip that I can give you today that I really want to stick with you, is that decreasing your stress levels to as low as possible, you will see the greatest changes in your body, other than obviously nutrition, sleep, recovery, and exercise, right? That is a pillar. It is. Because if you don't control that, everything else is out the window. If you're in a high stress environment, it doesn't really matter what else you do, okay? The fourth one kind of goes into that, and it's trying to lose weight too quickly. Because if you drop your calories significantly and you up the movement, do the typical eat less, move more, which is advice, but it's not really like meaningful advice. It's just a kind of framework. It isn't advice. It's like if someone asked me how to drive, and I said, oh, you just put your foot on the accelerator. I didn't teach them how to drive. I just said how it works. I didn't show them or teach them or like help them learn in any way. I just said, oh, just make it go. No, that's stupid. But if people do the heavy side of that, kind of what I just said of my experience, if you try to do it too quickly, then your body's going to be in a very stressful position, and it's not going to go into starvation mode, because that's not a thing. But obviously, there's people who do the 1,500 calorie diets, say, oh, I can maintain muscle, maintain strength. That's also because usually those people are like content creators, and they have I'm not going to say it's not as stressful as other jobs, because it can be for some people. But if you really think about it, you can wake up really at any point. You can do whatever you want for the entire day. So it's not as stressful as like a 9 to 5, let's be real. So that kind of thing is hard to do for a lot of people. If you do that, you'll probably retain a lot of water, you get hurt a lot, and then it's going to be really hard to adhere to that kind of thing, because your brain is like, wants to be in homeostasis again. So it's like, okay, well, you didn't eat nearly enough calories for about a week. I'm starving for energy right now, and you're just going to try, your body's going to try and make you binge, right? So you see that happen a lot over the weekends. Like, they over restrict during the week, and then on the weekends they're like, burger and chips and a few beers, then a pizza, then a sundae for breakfast on Sunday. No one's ever done that except for me. I did that one time, probably more than one time, but anyway. You have to do, if you want to do it properly, you got to do it slowly, because then it's going to be actually maintainable. Is that a word? I think it is. But if you try to do it too quickly, it's most likely gonna go to shit. You aren't a professional bodybuilder. If you are listening to this and you're a professional bodybuilder, hey, how are you? Sorry. But yeah, it's the best piece of advice that I can give. And don't binge. Don't do it. You don't feel great, and you always just get clogged, and it just kind of ruins. Not ruins. Well, it does ruin some stuff, but just stick to your plan. And then if you overeat one day, don't throw it away for the entire weekend just because of that. Stick to the plan for the rest of the day, and then to prepare for the weekend. Don't eat shit all the time. But sorry if this episode was a bit sporadic and kind of a little bit everywhere. Brain's kind of fried recently. I also had like 3 coffees today. 4 coffees? One of the 2. One of the 4. Hey, sorry. Yeah, just because I don't know if I needed it, but God, I felt like I did. Like, plus it just started pissing down rain. Like, not even like, it was bucketing. It was like a full-on pool outside. Sucked. Boring bullshit. I got plenty of steps today, plenty of exercise as well. It's run a mile, basically. Well, it was like 10 minutes. Just 10 minutes worth of running. I did a mile. I can run a mile faster than 10 minutes. Come on now, don't do that. But like it was just like a medium pace. Because in our wearable tech class, one of our other groups, I keep saying, fuck. My God. In wearable tech, there was a group who was doing like a hydration status test, and you had to take it before, run, and take it again. So I did that for them. It was pretty cool to see. I don't know if the machine really worked because I said I got more hydrated after the test. That doesn't make sense. But it was cool though. Yeah, and so I hooped in the morning, went to class, did that immediately, ate something real quick, went to class again, came back, ate something real quick, worked out, ate something real quick. Now I'm here. Then after this, gonna need I don't know if I'll eat again. I'll probably eat again, something small, maybe like protein brownie, which I gas, by the way, Prime Bites. Then do some work, hang out with the girl for a little bit, which is pretty cool. Nice. I think we're going to get ice cream tonight too. I'm not gonna get ice cream. I don't really feel like getting ice cream, but I'll go with them maybe if they want me to. If not, cool. Why am I telling you this? I don't know, but this is what's going on in my life right now. We're saying my day's been pretty hectic, pretty busy, a little tired. That's okay, we move. I think it's also the caffeine's kind of crashing me a little bit, but that means I'm gonna get a fantastic night's sleep. You know what I mean? So that's the end of today's episode 14. Also something that I don't usually say. I'm kind of proud of myself for doing this many already. So I know a lot of episode like podcasts and stuff don't get this far in, but yeah, I think it's pretty cool that I'm able to kind of do this on top of everything else, on top of all the other bullshit that's going on. But yeah, anyway, I love ya, hope you're doing fantastic, and I will see you next week.